Hi, and welcome to the 2020 Office presentation, The Complete Package. My name is Vanessa DeKukuk, and I am the Global Training Manager here at 2020, and I'd like to take you through a little bit of a design story. We're going to be looking at using the 2020 Office tools to take a project from beginning to end. But first we want to start out with a couple details about 2020 Office. And of course, we all know that good things come in threes. So today's objectives are really broken into 3 steps. First, we'll design our plan with 2020 CAP complete. Second, we'll come back and then specify the details of those products that we've designed in 2020 Worksheet. And then finally, let's take a look at it. We want to visualize it in 2020 Visual Impression. Now, the best part about these 3 steps is that once you start the first step, you can almost go in any order. So as your projects evolve and change and there's more requests from the client, don't worry, we can make those changes very quickly and efficiently. Now, if you're not familiar with 2020, there's a lot of history. We've been around for quite some time. In the past, in order to use our software, you used to have to plug in a physical USB key, but thankfully that is something that is in the past, and now you can log into your software via the 2020 cloud. The advantage of this, of course, is being able to work from anywhere, anytime, because you can log in and out of the software as needed. Now, what makes our software really run the best are the manufacturer catalogs, being able to specify so many products. You know, we have over 1,000 different catalogs to select from. That's thousands upon thousands of products. But as you can imagine, getting that data to you from those manufacturers can be quite cumbersome. We used to have to send out multiple DVDs every single month in order to get that content. Well, that is something that has evolved as well. So now, recently released the 2020 Content Downloader. This is a much more efficient way to get the catalogs to you when you need them. So if there's any changes to product lines, any new products you're selling, any price changes, let's make sure that we have all that information before we sign on the dotted line. Now, that's just a short, brief history of some of the 2020 details, but let's jump right into our design. Now I'm in 2020 CAP Complete, and when I first open it up, I can see all of the new information about catalog updates and changes in the software. For now, I'm going to close this, and this might look pretty familiar. If you have an AutoCAD background, this is where you're going to start. We're looking at our project in a plan view so we can start space planning very quickly. So first up, let's start a new project. When I go to start a new project, it automatically opens in a template. That is something that can be configured and you can control it how you want. I can also change different settings and customize this to however I work fastest. Now, when we're going to start a project, we usually are going to go right into our catalogs and start shopping. If I know what I'm looking for, I can click on the manufacturer, go through the catalogs, find the product that I desire, and simply drag and drop it into my project. It's as simple as that. So I find the product, here it is in plan view, I will left click to place it, I can rotate it around, I can manipulate this, and I can use a lot of different editing tools to copy this, array this, or whatever you need to plan very quickly. Now behind the scenes, this has a lot of information that we need to be able to order it. We'll come back to this in a little bit, but just know that there's pricing available, there's options available on this product, and we'll be able to specify all of those details really quickly with 2020 Worksheet. Now to go one step faster, as you become more comfortable with the software, instead of bringing products in one at a time, you might also be interested in using typicals. A typical is a great way to either leverage a few resources that your manufacturer might offer, or you can build your own typicals that are customized for a specific client because it might be something common that they reuse often. So I just brought in a typical of some furniture from Technion. And the great thing is if things change, we can edit these typicals and it can either change one instance or all instances that we have in that drawing. Let's take a look at a larger drawing now. I'm going to come over to a project that I already have started. Now this one does have a little bit of architecture drawn in it, and that architecture might be provided by an outside source. It might be something that you draw from scratch. In this case, it is just 2D for now, but we'll be looking at it in 3D in a little bit in visual impression. It's a pretty simple layout. It's the beginning of a training room. And quite often, if you have spaces that are adjacent to each other or a project that's quite large, you'll probably want to come in and use our assign feature. This is a way to kind of control things in an organized fashion that you want or that your client needs. So if I know that we have maybe 2 phases to this project, whether that's because of the installation process or the order lead times, whatever is needed, I can go ahead and select and tag all of the items to keep them organized here in the drawing. We'll be able to see this information later in Worksheet as well as visual impression. So let's say that we've got the training area and then our entry. Pretty simple, just a few chairs and a standing desk area. Okay, so I've used assign. Now today's example was super simple, just 2 areas, but you'll see where that will really make our process easier in a little bit. Now let's take our project over to 2020 Worksheet, because 2020 Worksheet is where we're going to be able to very quickly and accurately specify this product in a way that we know is going to be unique to our client. So when this worksheet opens, one of the first things you'll probably notice is I do have a lot of green check marks. I've already started on this project, so I have specified a few things. We'll make some changes in just a second. But the first thing I want to note is this column here called alias 1. That was the tagged area that I had added back in the drawing. So now I can very, very quickly sort by that tag, so it alphabetically sorts through, or I can even come in and use the multi-sort feature, which allows us to not only sort by that tag, but also insert subtotals. So far, we're just looking at list price, but I can tell you kind of how those 2 different areas break down really great and fast in the case that you're working in phases. Maybe you have a deposit on one area. Let's just keep this really organized. Now, next up, let's make this even easier for ourselves. I'm going to come in and update all of the preview images. Now we really haven't looked at this project in 3D yet, but I can do some 3D in the drawing. I can do some 3D here in Worksheet, and of course we'll want to see what everything looks like in 3D and visual impression. But while I'm here in the worksheet, it can be really nice to be able to quickly find a product by this preview image. It's a simple preview of just that individual product. If the catalog that you're working with is enriched, meaning it has textures applied, you'll actually be able to see the product in the color you've specified. Now, the next time-saving piece to this is Worksheet has the ability to work in templates. So you'll notice when I first opened this up, there were a lot of details that were exposed. These are all attributes about the product. There's a lot of pricing columns that I haven't adjusted all of the pricing yet, but we'll take a look at that next. When I'm in a template, this is a great way to show the project a certain way, let's say a simple view for my client, or of course, a more detailed view for my internal purposes. But templates are a great way to be able to quickly change the view of what I'm looking at in this project because there's so many details involved. Speaking of details, next up is discounting. Now, again, I've already set up a few discounts. You can see that I've got products, they come in always from our catalogs with a list price, but I can then go in and either mark them up, give them a discount, set a margin if I'd like, however I need to. It's very easy to apply. Now, there are a couple products that I have in here that don't have a discount. So for example, here is this chair from Trendway. Let's go ahead and discount this. It's as simple as coming in and saying apply discount. And this is a Trendway TSG catalog item. I'm spelling it out this way because it'll be really nice to be able to apply the same discount to multiple products, and often our discounts are assigned by the catalog code. Then you'll see a few numbers in here. This just defaulted to whatever I used last, but I can change this if I need to. I can even do a tiered discount. Let's do a 50, 10, and 5. It does the math for me, so I didn't have to type that in. That's great, and I can adjust this number if I need to as well. Finally, let's do a little bit of criteria just so that way we're making sure we're only discounting those specific chairs from Trendway. Oh, by the way, I made up these numbers. Those are going to be subject to you and your contract with your client. I'm going to go ahead and say okay, and now that line 6, that chair has a discount applied. The best part is these discounts can also be saved in something called a schedule. That way you can pull them up and reuse them if you have common discounts that are often used. This is something we go into a lot of detail in our 2020 worksheet templates and discounts class. Now remember earlier I said I had already started this project and added a few finishes. If I needed to make changes, I could do that here right inside Worksheet, where I can very quickly see and visualize any of the finishes that I need to for that particular catalog, or we can make these changes in visual impression as well. So let's go there next. If I jump up to visualize, I already have a scene set up called Classroom. When this opens up, you'll be able to see our space defined with a few architectural features, but most importantly, all of the product from our drawing. So first up, let's take a look at those Trendway chairs and change a little bit of the specification. I can select the chair, go to materials, and very quickly go in and make changes. Let's say instead of orange, we decide we want to go with the green accent color, and I can either apply that just on that one chair for something a little bit different, or all of the chairs throughout the entire project. Makes it so fast and easy for the client to be able to see this change, but also we can now push this information back to Worksheet in a moment to make sure we've got everything correct. Now, I also have a few of the finishes started, this goofy column in color, and notice that a few of the architectural details are also set, for instance, near my entrance. Those finishes are a little bit different because these are custom. As long as I have a good example of a texture that I can import in, it's as simple as going in and leveraging. Some of our custom palettes that we create. Now, again, I have a lot of palettes that I already have available to me, but how fast and easy is it to be able to really see any type of finish on any item, whether that's architecture or maybe a custom furniture item. Really, really cool. Now, that's the fun part, but of course, realistically, we need to really focus on the furniture. So I'm also going to come in and use a couple of the settings to have the software actually show me like what's done, what do I have complete. Notice that most of my training desks were complete and my chairs were complete, but the modesty panel on those training tables were not 100% complete, but I was able to easily find that just by coming in and telling it that I wanted to visualize just the things that were not complete. So now when I hide completed items, that looks good. I can kind of walk around and see all of the furniture has vanished. We have a full loading laptop. Let's come back in and turn all of our products back on, and now you can see all of the products with their finishes applied as required. Now, one of the greatest updates that recently came to 2020 Visual Impression is if I have some minor changes in the project, I can now move furniture inside of Visual Impression as well. So all I need to do is come in and turn on the toggle and toggle our furniture movement option. Sometimes you want to make things look a little more lived in. Sometimes you might look at something and realize, oh, I've placed it maybe too far away from a wall. Just for those minor adjustments or small tweaks, I can make those right inside Visual Impression. And then for designers, you can always just show that visually, or we can apply that change back to the drawing as well. And then one of our final steps, let's jump over to presentation, because of all of this work, we need to be able to illustrate this to anyone I'm collaborating with on this project, especially the client. You can see I've taken a few images already of that space, but I also have an area called furniture images. So I'm going to go ahead and update this. And what it does is it will run through very quickly and pull in one of every item that I have in my project. Now, I do have a few accessories, so you can ignore the plant and some of the extras, but what a great way, again, to be able to quickly see all of my furniture items. So if there's ever a question about a particular item, I have a nice big view of that. I can leverage that very quickly in any type of presentation that I'd like. Now, remember on this project, we changed the chair to green. I know that seems like a subtle change, but who wants to go all the way back to the worksheet and then manually make the change in worksheet as well? So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and apply my changes and say, yep, I'd like to apply these changes back to the source document that I was in. Now in this case, that was the worksheet file. So notice that my line number 6 has the nesting chairs in the green finish now. You can see that in the specification line, or I can always go in and update that preview image again to reflect it in the correct color. Let's replace that image and update all. Perfect. Now, one of my very final steps in this project is I might want to run a report, something that can be a very professional way to present this. There are many different example reports to leverage throughout your design process. And you can also customize these too if you'd like, but I'm going to use one of the standard ones. This is called a single item visualization report, something that will continue to leverage those preview images because we've spent so much time perfecting those, but this also gives you a really nice presentation of all of the products that were specified in your project. So I hope that this quick walkthrough helps you see how easy those 3 steps were, from the design process to the specification process, and of course the fun part, the visualization process. But if you ever have any questions, we do have training classes that go much more in depth than what I showed today. As an example, here are the classes for 2020 CAP Complete. We also have classes specific to 2020 Worksheet and classes in 2020 Visual Impression. Some of our classes are on-demand e-learning, meaning you can review them anytime at your own pace. And we also offer classes with a live instructor online, so you can ask questions and walk through scenarios together. If you have any questions about training, just check out 2020spaces.com/training. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you ever have any questions in the future, don't hesitate to reach out. You can reach me at our training address, which is office.training@2020spaces.com.